Okay, let's take a look into how sociologists conduct their research. So it's important for sociologists to have a systematic method for conducting their research to avoid having personal bias or experience or just, your own value system put into your research. And so sociological research is empirical in the fact that it's based on observation or experience. Idea that this is a tested method. We know that this research to be viable because we've conducted it this way. So when a sociologist comes up with something that they want to study, an idea that they want to study, they're either going to perform qualitative research or quantitative research. Qualitative research is aimed at looking at describing, using rich text to describe people, actions, or events in social life, where quantitative research is based off of numbers and statistical information. For example, if I wanted to do a study about how many sex partners college students have, I'm going to use quantitative data because I want raw numbers. So first, when I'm doing my research, I'm going to say, how am I going to find this out? What kind of research am I going to do? Do I want to do an experiment where it's a controlled laboratory environment? No, not really. Do I want to go out in the field and observe? Probably not. So I think the best way for me to find out these numbers is to do survey research. So first of all, I need to find a sample. How am I going to find a sample that can represent, I want to use as small a number as possible so getting reliable data. So I'm going to say, I think it's best for me to give out a survey in a class that every student needs to take. For example, it could be giving out a survey in a Sociology 101 class because everybody takes Sociology 101. It's going to be a very different population than what you have in like an Accounting 570 class. So I can give out this anonymous survey and I can choose how many classes to give it out to. I'm going to get a good number of people so I have a broad range and different times of day. So I can say, okay, this is a pretty accurate representation of the sexual activity that's going on at the university. So another form of research that a sociologist might do is to do field research where they're actually going out and watching people behave. If I want to see how people act when they're dating, I'm not going to do an experiment. It's too contrived. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to go out in the field and I'm going to sit back and as an unobtrusive observer, I'm going to watch how people engage. If people know that they're being studied, they're likely to behave very differently. So you can also have participant observation where a sociologist could go in and live with people for a certain amount of time and get to know really the ins and outs. Sociologists have done that just in studying gangs. A sociologist would go in and live with these people, with gang members for years and develop personal relationships with them. So they really have an intimate look into the lives. So depending on what you're trying to find out, you're going to use different methods of research. And so when a sociologist conducts this research, they want to make sure that it's able to be replicated over time. That's the way to reinforce that what they found is real and true, if it can be replicated. And so when doing an experiment, they're going to make sure that they're taking copious notes as they're going through and just writing down what's going on and how they conducted this research so that somebody else can come in and say, I want to make sure that this is correct, that introducing this variable affects people in a certain way. So it's not just thinking about how things ought to be. A sociologist wants to say, this is how things are. It's not necessarily how I want things to be, but this is how it is. This is what's going on. So it's not just based off of assumptions. You can take this idea and develop it from there. Like this thing you want to study, like divorce, how divorce affects kids. And I think kids from divorce turn out to be hoodlums. So I can't just say that. I need to go out and do my research and find out if that's really true. I need to observe kids and get data that's going to support my hypothesis that, divorce affects children negatively. So that's just a little quick overview onto research. And sorry it's so quick. This YouTube keeps cutting out. So Have a great week. As always, email me if you have any questions.